Good evening and welcome. I am Aisha Sindhu. You are watching this special broadcast at 7 on WION, the only Indian channel with a global perspective that brings you the top stories from South Asia. This evening, we are discussing the issue of triple talaq, with India's current government terming it a dreaded reality for married Muslim women in India. The issue has once again come into sharp focus. The centre has told the country's Supreme Court that the practice of triple talaq, among others, impacts the social status and dignity of Muslim women and denies them fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution. Some of the important points that the government made in its submission include the right of a woman to human dignity, social esteem and self-worth are vital facets of her right to life under Article 21. Gender inequity has a ripple effect on the rest of the community, preventing it from partaking in full liberties guaranteed by a modern constitution. The conferment of a social status based on patriarchal values or one that is at the mercy of menfolk is incompatible with the latter, or rather with the letter and spirit of Articles 14 and 15. There is an important point that has emerged from this debate. Now, Dr. Saeed Sadiq, Vice President of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, has been quoted as saying that the AIMPLB will do away with the practice of triple talaq in a year and a half, and that there was no need for the government to interfere at all. On tonight's show, the questions that we are raising are: how justified is the AIMPLB in still calling these issues out of the realms of the judiciary? When the Indian Constitution grants equality to all its citizens, why should Muslim women be at the receiving end of what many have called regressive customs? And when many Islamic countries have banned triple talaq, why is the community in India holding steadfast to this custom? Now, the latest stand by the centre is a great move for women as it invokes Articles 14 and 15, that of rights to equality. Should we not welcome this stand?
सुन्नी समुदाय में ये प्रॉब्लम है, हमारे यहाँ नहीं है। मुस्लिम पर्सनल बोर्ड इसकी तरफ मुतवज्जे है, ध्यान रख रहा। कलकत्ते में जो हुआ था उसमें हम थे, वहाँ मौजूद थे। उसमें लोगों ने तय किया कि हम खुद इस बुराई को समाज से मिटा देंगे। हमारी निवेदन सरकार से कि वो इंटरफेयर न करे, हम कुछ साल डेढ़ साल में इसको खत्म कर देंगे।
All right, to discuss the issue in depth, we are joined in the studio by author and historian Rana Safvi. Also joining us on the broadcast live from Ahmedabad is social activist Zakia Soman. Thank you very much, both of you, for being here on the show. Ms. Safvi, I'll come to you first. When it comes to the ambiguities of what exactly the Quran or literature of Islam says on divorce and marriage, can you throw some light on what really is it that defines talaq or divorce in Islam?
As far as the Quran is concerned, it is very, very clear that talaq is a most abhorrent practice. It says it's one of the worst things that can ever happen. And it lays down very carefully the process of a divorce. It says that you should, there are two types of divorce that are mentioned in the Quran. One is talaq-e-husn and one is talaq-e-ihsan. Both of them are over a period of 3 months, and encouragement is there for arbitration and reconciliation, that they should, the elders of the family or whoever else should try and make sure that the couple can reconcile, and if they can't, and then every month when the girl is not having her menstrual cycle, the man is supposed to give the talaq, or say talaq. So like he says it 1 month, and he says it the second month, and there is still a chance to revoke it, because if the whatever counseling works, then there's a chance to revoke it. It's only when he says it after, at the third time, that it becomes irrevocable, and after that there is no going back to the wife. Now, this was the practice that was followed in the time of the Prophet. In fact, there is a hadith that there was somebody who came to him and said that I have done, like said talaq thrice to my wife in one sitting. And the Prophet said, in my life, you cannot, in my own lifetime, you cannot do all this, because this is not the way it is supposed to be done. And it has to be done on 3 separate occasions in 3 months.
So you're saying, as it stands right now, the way the practice is quote unquote misused, is this is a perversion of what the real tenet says?
See, what happened then was that in the time of the third Caliph Usman, Muslim men were misusing this custom of, or this system of triple talaq, where the triple talaq is very different from instant triple talaq. Now, triple talaq, I am using it in the sense of giving it 3 times in a period of 3 months.
Right.
So what they would do is, they would say talaq first month, say talaq a second month, and then come back in the 3rd month and say, no, I have revoked my talaq.
Right.
Now the girl did not know where she stands. Is she married? Is she not married? Is she going to be divorced? Because there was no this thing in the women getting married again, whether after divorce or after getting widowed. It was encouraged that they should remarry.
Sure.
So to protect her rights, it was decided that, like, if you've said it thrice, it becomes irrevocable. So be careful in what you are doing. So this was to protect the girl. But now we are using it like as a, like making a plaything out of the wife and using it as a kind of toy that, okay, I've sent it by an SMS, I've sent it via Skype. This is not only, I heard you were saying that this is unconstitutional, it's also un-Islamic. Because Islam safeguards the rights of women and was one of the first religions to do that.
Okay. Zakia Soman, what do you make of the centre's stand on triple talaq and the movements that have been made toward its abolishment?
I think the centre filed the affidavit earlier and then again yesterday. Both the affidavits are perfectly appropriate. They are in keeping with the constitutional obligations of the government. They are in keeping with the Article 13, 14, 15. They are also in keeping with the Article 25. And the stand taken by the government that triple talaq and polygamy and nikah halala are not essential practices of the religion of Islam is a perfectly valid stand. And they have also cited the practices in several Muslim countries world over to establish that the fact that these practices are not found in so many Muslim countries also leads us to conclude that they are not essential part of the religion. So I think the central government has taken a very correct and very appropriate stand. In fact, there has been a long pending injustice to the Muslim women in India.
Right.
We have been legally discriminated for the last 70 years since India's independence. And I really hope that this is the beginning, of the whole process of correction of that legal discrimination.
All right, I'm also joined on the phone line by Zafaryab Jilani of the Muslim Personal Law Board. Mr. Jilani, thanks very much for speaking with us here on WION. Zakia Soman there saying that what the centre has observed are correctly not essential parts of the religion of Islam, and by doing away with the system of triple talaq, the injustices done to Indian Muslim women for the past 70 years will be undone. Your comments, sir?
See, now the matter is before the Honorable Supreme Court, and this is a crucial question to be decided by the Honorable Supreme Court, whether it is an integral part or essential part of religion or not. And we have made our submissions before the Honorable Supreme Court in writing, and from the 11th of May, we will be advancing it orally also. So it is not paying up anybody which will do. Now it is for the Supreme Court to decide this question. Therefore, my only concern is that, our submission is that it is not at all useful for having discussion on television channels about this matter, which is going to be started before the Supreme Court on 11th of May. We say it is essential part of religion. Government of India says it is not. Who will decide? Supreme Court is seized of the matter.
Sir, can I ask you for your personal opinion, please? What do you make of the system of triple talaq?
And whatever the board has submitted before the Honorable Supreme Court, that is our opinion. We are members of the board. Our counsel is representing us. He is not saying anything from his own views. So whatever our secretary has filed affidavit before the Supreme Court, that is our view. Whatever has been said in submission before the Supreme Court, that is our view.
All right, but someone from from the All India Muslim Personal Law Board has said that the practice will be phased out within a period of a year and a half. If it can be phased out within a period of a year and a half, why hasn't it happened earlier? Which would give critics of the triple talaq the opportunity to say that the Muslim Personal Law Board or perhaps other clerics of the Muslim community have been sitting on this kind of decision for a long time, and some sort of intervention was needed.
You see, it is not a law made by the Personal Law Board. It is a law made by Allah and also explained by the Prophet Muhammad. So there is no question and no authority in any member of Personal Law Board or any cleric to renounce it or to say that we are abandoning it.
Rana Safvi, would you like to come in on that? Sir, stay with us.
First of all, this is called talaq-e-bidat, which means talaq of innovation. That is the practice of saying talaq thrice at the same time and then pronouncing it as final. It is not as the talaq that was given in the Quran during the time of the Prophet Muhammad. Secondly, it is practiced only by the Hanafi section of the Muslims. It is not prevalent amongst the others. Thirdly, as far as say, let's say, following all the laws of Islam are concerned in today's world, Quran is very specific in prescribing that the cutting of the hands of a thief if he steals.
Yes.
We've done away with it. The
Right.
British did away with it in the 20th century, and we very happily agreed with it because after all, it is still being practiced in Saudi Arabia and some other Islamic countries,
Yes.
but we don't follow it. Whereas triple talaq, by triple talaq I again mean instant triple talaq, is not followed in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia, yet we are following it. So what kind of message do we want to give?
Right. Mr. Jilani, would you like to comment on that? Are we being...
Yes, I say that Quran was best understood by Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we have cited at least 3 or 4 sayings of the Prophet where this kind of triple divorce was taken place, and Prophet Muhammad did not say that it is not valid talaq. He did express his anger. He did say that this such thing should not happen, but he did not say that talaq has not happened. So whatever is there, we have filed it before Supreme Court. Those sayings of the Prophet are there. Then it is followed by all the 4 Aimmas, Imam Hanifa, Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik and Imam Hanbal. All the 4 schools of thought of Muslim law, they agree with this, that this does happen, although it is a sin, it is condemnable, and second caliph had even got the person digged up. But it does happen, it results in follows that divorce takes place. So it is not nothing which is new to India only. It is a part of our religion and faith, and we will stay it before the Supreme Court that we cannot do away. But we are trying to minimize it, and there should be no such triple divorce without any justification, accompanying reasons, in ordinary circumstances. This is definitely sin. It is also condemnable. It also may amount to an offense because the second caliph had written against the person.
Mr. Jilani, the fact is that a lot of Muslim women have come forward with petitions saying that they've been at the receiving end or have gotten the short end of the stick when it comes to triple talaq. And keeping that in mind, do you think that politics and questions over the government's intent aside, that this was an important step to address the concerns of women within your own community?
We have addressed it, and our women in crores have signed that they don't want any interference in personal law. They definitely are with us, and we know that whatever Muslim women want. We say with confidence that more than 90% Muslim women are with that there should be no change, although they are themselves sufferers, and we do appreciate that there is in some cases there is extreme misery on account of this kind of triple divorce being pronounced in one sitting.
All right, but stay with us. Zakia Soman, Mr. Jilani.
I am doing my work. Why do you excuse me now?
All right, thank you for joining us all the same, Mr. Jilani, with your statements. Zakia Soman, Mr. Jilani, they're saying that 90% of Muslim women are actually pro-triple talaq or agree with the tenets as they stand right now. Would you feel or do you believe that that's a sweeping statement that doesn't take a lot of voices in dissent into consideration?
That is absolutely far from the truth. Today, all the Muslim women, all the Indian Muslim women want abolition of triple talaq. Not only that, a good bit of 60 to 70% of the Muslim men also want abolition of triple talaq, because today the average Indian Muslim realizes that first of all this is not a Quranic practice, and yet it is prevalent in our community. It does a lot of injustice to our daughters and to our sisters, and at the same time the ordinary people are realizing that it is giving a lot of bad name to the community, it is giving a lot of bad name to the religion also. And ordinary Muslims are realizing how the Muslim Personal Law Board has always taken the community for a ride, how they have taken the community for granted, how they have fooled the ordinary people. So today everybody has understood that these are practices, triple talaq, nikah halala are practices owing to distortion and owing to misinterpretation of the religious tenets. And like the panelists here said, that there is no mention of triple talaq in the Quran. So today an ordinary Muslim knows that. Now the gentleman, since he is part of the Personal Law Board, he is going to always put across his side of the story,
right.
but it's simply not true. Actually they have, they have now started worrying about their own survival. They have started, they have recognized their own irrelevance, and they feel that once the Supreme Court does justice and once the law gets reformed, once the law gets passed by the parliament, then there is no Personal Law Board. They are worried about their own survival, and they are spreading all kinds of all kinds of stories which are not really true.
All right.
So we are extremely hopeful that we will get justice from the Supreme Court.
All right, stay with us, Zakia. Rana, when it comes to, we've already spoken of the importance of this step for Muslim women who are denied their rights, so to speak. But what do you feel about an actual effect on the ground? Do you think this legal change in status will actually have the kind of impact that is necessary for Muslim women?
The first thing that we need is to actually go to the grassroots and educate the Muslim women, because the nikah itself is a contract. It's a social contract between two people, and now today we have all these Maulvis and everybody coming and reading the nikah. As long as you have two witnesses, even the girl and the boy can read the nikah for themselves. It's just a contract, and in that contract you can write whatever you want. The girl can even put down that I will not, you cannot divorce me through a triple talaq, you cannot marry again without my permission, which is the actual Quranic injunction. So she can put in whatever she wants, because as it is, Quran guarantees them amount which is called the meher, which is the bride money,
right.
So in case for her safety and security. So the Muslim women actually are not aware what the word nikah means, that it's a contract. It's like any other contract between two companies. Here two individuals can put in their terms and conditions, right. So to protect themselves. So we have to go down, make sure that the women know, because today, the biggest problem that is facing the Muslim community is lack of education.
Okay.
And because they are not educated enough, they believe whatever is told to them, and patriarchy is nothing to do with religion. It's worldwide, it's everywhere, and I think it permeates every religion.
Absolutely, and every community, every culture, that is true. We just also want to give our viewers an idea of some of the countries that have gone ahead and banned the system of triple talaq. Now it's banned in many countries, including much to India's chagrin, Pakistan, and all the way to Algeria, to Turkmenistan as well. Malaysia and many more countries have decided to do away with the practice of triple talaq. Now, just to point out, most of these countries are Muslim majority countries. Zakia Soman, do you feel that the Muslim community and the sort of voices we've heard, especially from the men of the Muslim community in India, the worry of doing away with triple talaq also has something to do with the fact that being a minority religion within this larger democracy and secular space, that taking away or doing away with any customs, even as archaic as they may be, might do some sort of damage to their status and to the holding on of your cultural or religious identity within the larger scope of a democracy?
Yeah, there are those kind of fears, but then we need to look around and look at other minorities, because we are not the only minority. We have the Christian minority, we have the Parsi minority, and to a great extent both these minorities have reformed their laws. A few years ago, Christian women didn't have a right to divorce, which they now have. So what we are seeking is parity with all other communities. Why just the minorities? You know, we even had, talking about the majority community, we had Sati Pratha, we had widow ostracization, we had child marriage, we had dowry. All of this gradually has been done away with through laws passed by the parliament. And whenever these laws have been brought about, when the Hindu Code Bill was brought about, the Hindu Marriage Act was brought about in 1955, there was resistance, there was opposition. But then the parliament is bound by the constitutional obligations of gender justice and gender equality. And legal reform is just one important part of the larger social reform. Larger social reform would call for a lot of awareness, lot of empowerment, a lot of education, lot of other measures which we need to undertake at the level of society, at the level of community, and particularly pertaining to education of girls and women, and even education of youth, because it's important to educate the boys and the men. So what we are seeking is a legal reform and legal parity with the rest of our sisters who are citizens of India.
Okay, I'm also joined live right now by gender rights activist Shazia Ilmi from Delhi. Shazia, thanks for joining in on the broadcast. Do you feel that with the AIMPLB still trying to keep the judiciary out of this conversation, that this just brings into focus the importance of the judiciary in a system, in a democracy such as India, and that its intervention will probably lead to some sort of resolution as far as this denial of rights of Muslim women go?
Well, absolutely. As my other friends and colleagues who are working for gender rights for Muslim women as well as other women have pointed out, you know, this practice, this pernicious practice of triple talaq, which is at the mere utterance of the word "I divorce thee" 3 times, considering it once as a one sitting and considering it as an irrevocable divorce, has played havoc with Muslim women's lives. So this practice has been running rampant in our country. Muslim women are abandoned, rendered destitute at the pretext of this talaq practice, which has no place either in the Quran, and also it contravenes the spirit of the Indian Constitution, which ensures equal rights and absolutely zero gender discrimination between men and women. I have met countless women who have just been given divorce, pronounced a divorcee by an SMS, email, and even a letter or a phone call. This has no place at all and should have no place in our legal system. Let me also tell you, this matter has become so huge, not because the government wanted to interfere, but there were so many women, you know, there were throngs and throngs of Muslim women who could not find succor, who could not find any recourse within the religion.
Right.
They had no choice but to go to judiciary. So the question you asked me about judiciary is a very important one. While Indian Muslims follow in civil matters the civil law, in criminal matters they follow the CRPC, which is the Criminal Procedure Act. When it comes to personal law, which relates to marriage, divorce, maintenance, Muslim personal law is used to keep women's rights away from them, and which is why this questioning, this churning is happening in our society.
Fair enough.
I'm glad that the ruling party's recommendations to the law board are very clear, that this really takes away the rights, woman's right to dignity.
Shazia, stay with us. I'm actually running out of time on the program, but since you've joined us, I just want to give you one last question to you before we wrap up the show. Do you think it's also time that the conversation, not just in the judiciary, but really culturally and socially speaking, when it comes to India, moves beyond religion, beyond community, beyond caste, and actually looks at the root of all of this, and that is gender equality for all women and men in this country?
Yes, I think so. I think even now we're getting caught up in a theological argument. Everybody keeps talking about Surah Baqarah, Surah Nisa, and they talk about the Hanafi school and the Shafi school. But what we should be talking about, Muslims in India living in a democracy which prescribes equality between the two genders. And that is the argument that we must have, instead of getting wrapped up in a theological debate. Because in a democracy, and when Muslims live in other democratic countries like they do in the US and UK, they follow the same law for marriage as is prescribed by law. So let the rule of law prevail even when it comes to personal law matters, which includes women's right to equality when it comes to marriage and divorce, and also the maintenance when they are divorced. Women cannot be abandoned and left on the streets to fend for themselves in the name of Islam, when it's not even permissible within Islam. So I think it's very important that we get back the gender equity discourse and human rights, treated as a human rights issue, then just as an issue of Muslim women and the Muslim women versus the mullahs.
All right. So clearly we've had some consensus on the show, barring a couple of voices that chimed in as well. But unfortunately, I've run out of time. Rana Safvi, thanks very much for being here with us. Also, Zakia Soman and, of course, Shazia Ilmi for joining us on the broadcast. It is time for us to wrap up the show on that note. More news follows on the other side of this short break. Do stay tuned to WION.